their spot that they're landing over in Lifty Lodge has a bit of a boost as far as the spawn rate goes for the blue POIs. And then obviously we know that they have been prioritizing that mythic pistol that lands near them. I'm not too certain, Vivid, if that's going to be in their hands every single game, but they definitely have a lot of potential success just by, I don't know, just looking at the bare bones of their situation.
Yeah, I'm happy that you kind of brought up that mythic pistol. I feel like we are going to be keeping our eyes peeled in the early game because, as we do know, landing in close proximity to another one of those spawns is going to be Queasy and Victor. These guys kind of took to the socials to make sure the word was out there. I mean, it was Hakes himself that went ahead and posted, hey, just so you guys know, we got first in heats and we will be keying the mythic pistol in grand. So there's going to be 2 spawns of that mythic pistol, and one of them is a little bit further away from their POI, which is where kind of the contest kind of comes into play, right? Queasy and Victory are trying to go ahead and claim over the other one, and Queasy was very adamant and letting Higgs know, hey, this ain't OCE, but I'll let you guys kind of at home to read into that one just a little bit further. But yeah, very interested to kind of see how this one pans out. But I feel like this is a great opportunity for us to go ahead and kind of pan the conversation over to Queasy and Victor V, because obviously this is a big move, a big investment out of Queasy himself, one of those great IGLs of the game. And now he's going to be paired up with the young gun of Victor V.
Now, listen, they have currently on the map, they are uncontested. And there's been a few moments where it looks like they might be contested, but then potentially not contested. But we did pose a question at the start, and something that we talked about during rehearsal. Wouldn't it be crazy if Azers and Vino land onto Queasy and Victor V? Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't necessarily can confirm or not confirm that that's going to happen. But to see Victor V and Queasy right now primed up in this position, and we can already see that the mythic pistol is in their hand. I would just, you can't have Victor V with that weapon in his hand. He is absolutely devastating. So I can only imagine the teams that are near him going to try and do whatever they can to make sure that that is not in his hand. Because obviously with Victor V being one of the prime fraggers, joined by Queasy, one of the best IGLs in the world, and our reigning global champ, this is just a recipe for success.
What's crazy though, right? Coming out of the heats, take a look at the damage ratios. Victor V was, of course, up top with a 4.0, and to be honest, Curve wasn't too far behind him, but of course, Victor V up top there with a 4.0 damage ratio. But the thing that was kind of crazy about this is sometimes we see these stats kind of inflated because heats, if you win the first game, if you played from higher ground, you don't necessarily take a lot of damage. So usually we see this number pretty high. But actually, Queasy and Victor V, they played all 5 games in heats, and Victor V still managed to maintain that high of a damage ratio. So again, these guys are going to be looking pretty scary coming into the weekend. I'm excited to see what they could do.
Fortnite fan, that's just a taste, right? That's just, all we talked about is 10 of the duos in this lobby. That's it, just 10. There's so many more things, so many more storylines all colliding here in Major number 2. We hope you are as excited about this as we are. Remember, 6 games today, 6 games tomorrow. The competition is about to kick off. So let's go say hi to your casters to get us started.
This is going to be a great day, Monster. Thank you to Kelly, Vivid, and Zeke for breaking it all down. What's at stake? The storyline's coming in, but 12 games start here with day 1.
Yeah, definitely. And we already know that there are some teams that are uncontested, lingering around the map. And for the most part, these uncontested duos here don't have as much on the line. Most of them already have their global spot called through.
Yeah, so this is going to be a big moment here. Those 6 teams, like you said, already got their spot secured, which means in theory, there could be a chance that the qualification spots drop all the way down to top 12. That may not be exact, but it goes to show the level of play here. The battle bus is ready, so are we, so let's jump right in.
All right, Jacob, we're here. Major 2 finals. All of these weeks of competition is leading up to this. The drop map seems to be true. Veno and Agers are going for the triple contested latte landing. Talk about a strategy here today. All in all, I mean, this just means that we are in for quite an exciting weekend.
Yeah, coming into this one, you know, even Veno came into my chat while I was streaming. He said, I'm either landing Latte or any new drop spot if it comes to an update. And I was thinking he was crazy. Why would Veno, probably one of the smarter players in the game with Agers, who is proving to be one of the best players in the game as well, willingly put themselves into a triple contested fight? But you can see how it already is shaking down. Veno and Agers seemingly uncontested on one side of the map, while the other two duos go head-to-head on the other.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting Madden at the last in-person event, and you know what? He was just surging with confidence as a new player, finally getting his, his reps in against the best in these major set lobbies. It just seems like he's kind of finding his footing. So Chance and Madden here finding a nice set of early eliminations. I don't think anyone was expecting them to wrap that one up that fast, but it sets them up for success now.
Yeah, but I think they got to know the timing there is definitely going to be crucial. You see Aoxy on the outside. There is some distance, so him and Jojo Fishy could potentially look over and get some third parties. And everybody was wondering, after losing the off-spawn battle against Reet and Cooper, I think it was 10-8, Kelly said, they gave up the drop spot, and they're actually contesting half of Shaken Sanctuary. So everybody coming in thinking, Clicks and Rapid uncontested. Maybe one team will surprise contest as it looks monster. There's two teams with Zeke and Taki, Josh Liamzo, all landing on that left side of the building.
Yeah, I was concerned about the rumors of Liamzo and Josh possibly landing on other teams, but they seem to have stick this one through, and hey, it works out well. So Reed and Cooper also win their drop spot completely free to themselves, but get this a second. We have QTECD and Nut taking a fight right now. This is Boji pinned up against the wall. All teams here don't have shields though, so this is a pretty tough spot to be in as Boji just gets a little mini shield off there. This can go either which way still, but nice. QTECD ends up finding his angle, and there, just like that, they get their 2 eliminations. So nice little fast start for him, and I'm looking at the player feed there. 44 teams remaining. 6 teams have already fallen. That drop map that gave us a little sample of what was to come was no joke. So many teams have already fallen.
Yeah, and judging off that same drop map, Queasy, Victor V, uncontested, seemingly marked, but that's not necessarily the worry for these guys coming into this game. It was more so Higgs and Curve. Maybe Josh and Liamzo surprising contesting this side of the map, but now that it seems that the dust has settled, they are looted up, they have relatively good full loadouts. They might try to scrap for extra loot somewhere else, but it does look like game one, they're gonna fly under the radar as of now.
Well, Veno and Agers didn't get the drop exactly the way they probably thought it was going to go. Again, considering Chance and Madden finish up their elimination super fast, that means Veno and Agers have to fight a fully healthy and well-positioned Madden and Chance there on the other side. Meanwhile, a lurk play set up for F9 and Moneymaker. Seems like they have Void's Jace in the line of sight here. Jace has to be careful.
Yeah, they kind of land in terms of F9 and Moneymaker south of where they're currently at. They take that kind of island, that shoreline, whatever you want to call it. They lurk their way up, went from being contested to uncontested, and already they have some tricks up their sleeve. And I only see Jace as of now. Liam isn't too close by. The slurp truck is still there, so if Jace does take some early damage, he could potentially try to heal up, but he's going towards the garage, right into Moneymaker, and this one is definitely going to be a wrap. That first shot is going to hurt onto Jace. Eventually, he's going to drop. So Moneymaker and F9 already with the sneaky plays here, game one.
Moneymaker for 9, both aimed down sight with that shotgun. You saw he went from 200 HP down to about 30. That was just an opener. There's not a chance he's going to survive that one, unfortunately. For Higgs, Curve on the other side, sticking to their true drop spot here. Now, what they do really well is obviously loot this up, and somehow, some way, they tend to find their way into battles here on the outer edges. But like we said, Higgs and Curve kind of throwing that conversation out there that they might look to key across the river. While Victor and Queasy did have some words for them, as you saw. The video Victor posted, he was talking about, hey, come this way, and Queasy's gonna box you up, Higgs. Don't you try it.
Yeah, that's big words coming from Vic, though, because him in some pressure situations always seems to pull up. The fight does continue at Latte landing with Madden going down. Chance is still up, but he's in a 1v2. Veno on one side trying to take over as many of those pieces. Agers on the other, making sure he cannot get away for free. So even though Chance is lurking, trying to heal up, he's just trying to buy some time. Separate Veno and Agers into 2 separate 1v1s, but it doesn't look like they really want to give him that opportunity. Just spraying with the Spire Rifle. And the Spire Rifle is one of the new unvaulted weapons, replacing kind of the Stinger for the most part. And even though it doesn't have that fast rate of fire, you could endlessly spray it past like 40, 50 ammo in the clip. So that's just a lot of pressure you can put out.
Yeah, one thing I can tell by the way that this fight is going, looking and judging by the loadouts here, they haven't taken much damage, so this should be a purely net positive fight for them right now. For Veno and Agers, it's perfect considering that they've kind of spent a lot of time here lurking about and waiting for Chance and Madden to initiate the fight. That patience might just be paying off here. All he just has to do is hit the shot. There it is. They wrap this one up quickly, and there isn't a team in sight, judging by the map, so well played for them.
Which is kind of surprising with Aoxy and Jojo Fishy landing on that mountain. Could have been a great opportunity, but there goes the first elimination from Venom. That's what really opened up this opportunity. And as you were saying, taking no damage. So even though we did see a couple scratches there at the end, you got to realize the eliminations, the damage, like you said, is going to be a net positive. So for Venom and Agers, they already have the zone pushing towards the north. They have the early game eliminations for points, so confidence has to be at an all-time high for them.
Yeah, as much as I love this Frosted Flats rotate for Peterbot and Pollo, they are finding themselves in between a multitude of teams. Doesn't look like they've managed to entertain any fights just yet either, so this game could be the first that'll set them up for a comeback story if they get collapsed on. Yep, I was gonna say there's probably some really good teams set up there. It's Acorn and Bolts nearby. No easy pick by any means. We've seen the most success out of Peterbot and Pollo when they push those more underrated, newly formed duos, right? Folks with a little less experience kind of on the way. But right now, Peterbot seems to be squished between some goats. On the other side, though, we have Ritual and Cold here at the Battlewood. Looking pretty decent. What's your take on this duo here today? They need that global spot.
I mean, they feel like they're one of the teams when you kind of look at everybody, the uncontested drops. They have to be in everybody's favorites to make the global championship, possibly even win here today. I've seen some predictions place them inside of the top 3, and it's just kind of building off of the chemistry. I think it was Vivid, Kelly talking about the placings that they had in trios with Peterbot on their roster, but you never lose that chemistry. It's almost like riding a bike. They have one of the best POIs, and I say one of the best because it's an argument going around the community which is the actual best one, and they got the whole south side essentially all to themselves. So I gotta think they have to have some of the best chances here this weekend as Skittle and Kai and get that elimination there. Essentially kind of cone him off, pokebomb, some would say.
Yeah, nice little elimination there. Meanwhile, we get a little update with Clicks here. Sitting atop the Surge base right now. Got Rapid playing catch up here down inside of the actual POI. Curly, Tyler rotating around the outskirts here. No sights on them just yet. I'm not sure if Clicks has actually noticed them. Is they're making a rotate? No, Clicks actually has no idea it's got a duo right behind them just yet. He actually misses them. They get pretty far off. They'll probably render out here shortly, but either way, Rapid and Clicks. Somewhat of a favorable zone here, so they'll be able to rotate pretty quickly, pretty easily here shortly.
Just kind of scratching my head just a little bit. Obviously, I think the Josh Yamzo, Seek Taki taking the left side, kind of where Clicks is above now, that's where they were landing, kind of fighting it out. And typically you do see them use that cube to jump on other teams. But as we saw, Moneymaker and Fernayan around them, uncontested, they went for an elimination. Towards the left side, they're not going to be able to do it. So a lot of those opportunities to surprise a team and jump on them due to the competition around them may not necessarily be there, or at least here early on in game 1. But as we continue to look around, we know Frosted Flats, Peterbot and Pollo are nearby. You see Oliver OG and X-Pawn in the distance. But as you know, Acorn and Bolts, they're the ones that hold down Frosted Flats. And you got to notice in the minimap, they actually have one of those 2 legendary POIs.
Yeah, definitely.
Why would no?
Nice sight lines on everyone around them. The zone's actually pulling straight this way. And they get a little favoritism with the zone still pulling over this mountain here. This is one of 2 basically high points that's available kind of in this side of the map. This can calls for some very interesting
both win the ocean. I got it right now.
Shadow Virgo. Man, we saw so many conversations start to unravel here. Talk about putting Virgo on the fraud watch, right? Like, what's going on? What happened during heats? It should have been a shoe-in competition for them. But either way, they dominated their way through the LCL. And they did it in such a spectacular fashion, right? You saw how Virgo managed to clutch up his game, send himself straight through to the finals. And there's a lot of haters out there, right? You have folks like Veno trying to bet against them, but in the end, the M8 team came out ahead.
So far, looking good in this game, just like DK, Causers, taking a quick tag there in the distance by Vlex. But you got to imagine with that elimination, they did get a decent amount of surge. They got to start feeling confident here. Got to be quick on the button, though. Storm is doing a decent amount of damage, so gold is definitely going to be relevant for them in this game. As we jump on board the eastern side of the map, though, we haven't seen too much from these shores. Booga and Braids kind of making it out, contested or not. They seem to be faring well. They're only 100 damage above the threshold, though. That's my main concern. It isn't necessarily the resources, the materials, anything of the sort. Because even though they're 123 above now, this is the first surge that we have in the game. So if they don't continue to accumulate those numbers, we could see a point in time where they fall below that threshold.
Yeah, this entire setup is, I was going to say, almost solely dependent on whether or not a team's going to rotate around the outskirts for a dead side. And I'm not sure I love it. Underneath them, you saw Contrap and Darzi there. So the fight sort of broke out, didn't really have a meaningful ending. We'll keep tabs on it. On the other side, though, you have Jit here, just at the Latte landing. Again, so much contestation happening up here. Veno and Agers looking to stay deep in the storm right now, maximize their materials. And even that, even after finishing their fights the way you saw them do it, look at this. Their loadouts are not that pretty, not on the material count at least, and we're getting closer and closer to the 2-tick.
Yeah, it's not just the material. You see bandages in the inventory. Obviously, you know he needs those, doesn't want to use that chug jug unless he actually has to. But you can kind of see, because of a triple contested fight, even if you win the fight, not a lot of resources will remain when the dust settles. But they are going to go ahead and use the zone to their advantage to try to get Surge. Victor V and Queesia. A real peculiar situation. 18 below the damage threshold. Uncontested on the day. And so you got to imagine with how long it took them to actually farm up and get their game going, they probably haven't had too many chances to get Surge at this point in time.
Yeah, this is actually very, very scary, right? Only 4 above here. If it would have went any differently, it would have taxed them incredibly just with the Surge being active here. But they're looking to stay inside the storm and play for some super key positioning right now. Now that the storm surge is actively turning on here, it's going to start costing them. But look, there's duos all around them. They just got to start getting active here, finding the shots. I was going to say, Queasy, these are the tags you need to hit here. These are your game-determining, game-defining shots right now.
Yeah, you can get 100 damage with the body shot. We just need to be able to hit those shots. Those are crucial ones like you were talking about. That led to 3 extra storm surge ticks, which was about 75 damage, possibly even more, because now he's taking that time to heal up. We got to imagine Victor V also being very, very persistent to try to get them above the damage threshold. That's why they're going to find themselves 43. Again, it's not a feeling of comfortability now that they're above that damage threshold, but it's a moment for them to breathe and reassess the situation.
I'm curious as to whether or not they have extra heals to work with here at the POI. Well, we're rooting for them, so we'll see how it goes. Meanwhile, Peterbot sees what's happening here just outside the storm. We're talking about them needing a little bit of activity, but look at this. It turned into a nice little third party from range. Finds a fresh Elam there. Those are the big ones that matter. Peterbot Boyer rotating in from the outside of the storm. Again, no one wants to stay there. 2-tick, and then the 5 is going to start ripping apart players that get greedy here. Diabzo, Josh on the other side fighting for their surge. Fighting for their tournament life right now. Barely holding on. 59 above. There's a couple cheeky tags there. Can he get the Elam? He does. Nicely done for Diabzo.
And honestly, coming into this, I was a little worried, you know, not necessarily knowing where they're going to drop as Josh does go down, but they've been in this situation before at the Summit Land, having to change things up at the last second. But it gets even worse now with Josh going down. Iamzo left by himself. The blessing is they're at least above the damage threshold. On the other side, no blessings coming their way. Victor V down. Queasy still getting struck by Storm Surge. Eventually gets in the box before he gets sent right back to the lobby. And this is where you see game 1 of finals sometimes usually has the most tricks going around.
The team
Storm
need
Surge
to
starting to take its
do
toll.
it,
Queasy and
because
Victor V are now
if
down
not,
and out. Iamzo and
the team maybe
Josh
say
not looking
fuck
too
it
great
and
either
they're
as
not
Josh
good.
gets taken out trying to basically
I hope not, but
roll his way into the safe zone. It was close, but
yeah.
a little too far. For Iamzo here, at least Josh's loot, he does get to secure it, right? So he gets a couple extra heals. He'll be able to go the distance for a little bit here. He's not too far off a placement, especially considering they pulled zone, but we'll see what the damage is looking like. Oh yeah, not too good. This is a rough spot to be in.
Yeah, and you can kind of see him switch into that different shotgun instead of the striker. That's just because he probably wants to shoot off into the distance. It does land damage farther than the striker actually would. So Yamzo trying to use his brain. Instead of preparing for a box-to-box fight that may never come, he's just trying to make sure he gets above the damage threshold. Bugha down in the distance as well, currently positioned up above. And this is where you can see how chaotic this lobby is actually getting because of Storm Surge. If you're not proactive, you're not reacting in real time, you end up in a position just like this. You see Braids on the other side, Bugha down, but he is really making it work. A couple shots gonna connect, he's gonna get him 100 above.
Yeah, Braids looking to clutch this one up by himself. Yamzo here looking to play solo too. Surge is now active. Yamzo taking a bunch of damage. Meanwhile, Braids is trying to stay active so he doesn't slip behind, but Yamzo's got so much more to worry about. Meanwhile, a team falls. He manages to catch a little bit of relief here, but for how long will that last? And look at how close they are actually. Yamzo and Braids hip to hip as two of the only solos here on the backside of zone.
I was gonna say this zone could be a nightmare here in the next one, but it's not gonna be a max pull for either one of our solos, Yamzo or Braids, but it's definitely gonna be a ton of distance to overcome, especially for Yamzo. 42 below, active surge. He lands a shot, but it's going to be a trade, so not a net positive overall. A couple of quick tags are gonna land onto the back of X-Bomb. That's gonna get him 141 above the damage threshold, but you can see he's running out of everything.
Yeah, but that was an incredible play now. That buys him so much more time here. As long as he doesn't slip behind, he'll definitely be able to turn this into something here. The longer he waits, the later he gets to rotate here. We'll see if that ends up playing to his benefit. Meanwhile, Reed and Cooper earning their drop, making the most out of it as well. 2 elims here and now. Looking comfortable, but the material count a little worse for wears. Very light here for the most part.
Yeah, and you can kind of see 400 damage above. We saw Reed's loadout for a second, Cooper's as well. Double Spire rifle. So you see their plan for this game, Monster, was just get above that damage threshold at any cost. They're hoping to maybe pick up a pistol or something else as the game does continue. But you're seeing the update affecting a lot of the game plans. Even Clicks and Rapid here having a little bit of a struggle. Half their POI taken below the damage threshold. Rapid finds that opportunity. 46 above. It's at least a moment for them to breathe as they get another opportunity there. Not necessarily the elimination monster, but all of that loot.
Hey, but also the placement points. They've managed to make it to the most difficult part of Fortnite, and that's the end game where placement points start to get dished out here. Meanwhile, Acorn's down. Bolt is by himself, finding himself in the mix here, 10 below as well. But a couple players just have to fall here for him to be safe, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. In any case, being a solo here is a tough spot to be in. Let's see what Bolts can do as far as clutches are concerned. We saw what Acorn did over the course of the last weekend as he found his way to a massive highlight. Meanwhile, looking at things from the high ground, you have Aiden just kind of holding things down in Calixi. Yamzo still standing here, finds another elim as well. This one onto Oliver OG. Very nice for them. That's 3 elims and more placement points.
Yeah, from 2 builds to 65
He's
plus.
still alive.
One of the most important refreshes anybody can come at this point in time, trying to keep himself going. He's in the meat of those placement points. Top 10 is where you get half of them. And as of now, Aiden and Clixie, though, up at the top. They have not been contested. We're going over some recycled buildings down below mountains, so nobody really having a chance at this point in time to look up. But we know it's only the night zone, still early, so we know that can come.
This is so uncharacteristic for Peterbot and Pollo. They have pulled some max zones here, forcing them into low ground, costing them so much material. But this is a dangerous place for all the other duos to have Peterbot and Pollo. The speed, the accuracy, their ability to perform is top tier. You're watching it go down. Meanwhile, Veno Ager, 7 eliminations, dominating right now. My gosh, they are running away.
I know
with
only
things.
game 1, but
Can already see in the inventory as well. Mythic pistol, which leads me to believe Victor B. Queasy probably taken out by them. Or something close to it as Higgs gets an elimination. They immediately try to elevate themselves again. High ground has just been eliminated, and it's Peterbot and Pollo out of nowhere to be the ones to do it. And they've claimed their stake on high ground. But you see Venom and Agers underneath them. Higgs and Curves still firing off, getting eliminations. These are all teams that know how to play towards that height. And here it goes. Venom and Agers are going to be the first ones to challenge up above. Peterbot's down. Agers has gonna fall. Both teams being shattered and placed as solos.
The Doesn't matter how good you are, Pollo is dangerous. He wins his ones. Veno gets deleted on the way up, and he's forced to the ultimate low ground. I think other teams actually got their attention to the high ground, but Pollo, it's no sweat as he's trying to download what's happening here all around him. Meanwhile, you can see Vert lurking. You can see Bolt still clutching as a solo as well. And take a look at this. Ritual finding himself by himself once again. Cole doing the smart thing here, dropping him all the excess heals. There goes the material count. He has to stay in the storm in order to pick up these extra mats here to try to go to distance now.
Yeah, but these could be crucial placement points here. Risk-free placement points for the most part, bypassing everything that's going on here. And while Pollo's as a solo up above, Higgs and Curve are clearing out the mid and low layers. Anybody who crosses their path has just been eliminated. And down below, all the way in the modern, Muzz and Rise still holding strong. Their 5th elimination here. It could be between these 3 teams left as another one's gonna fall. QK has just got eliminated.
NA is so exciting. We're watching these exceptional duos go toe-to-toe right now. Curve and Higgs trying to fight for the high ground here, but Pollo's putting up a strong defense. Curve goes around for it. He wants this high ground more than anything, as that'll set them up for the win. There it is. Higgs beats down Pollo, and now it's theirs to run away with. A little bit of fall damage, some extra shots here, though, so low ground recognizing there's some danger up top. Remember, that's Rise and Muzz who are running out of material here. This is a big refresh for them. There it is. They managed to get the loot here, and now we're looking at the 2v2.
Yeah, that Mythic Warforged could be the difference, but really no chance to use it. Muzz is gonna go down first. His teammate Rise is gonna fall to the zone, and Higgs and Curve
okay.
and start grand
I know
finals
only game 1, but
the pleasure to talk with
if
Curve,
he
see what
didn't
he was
go to
capable
do
of,
it,
and he is
I
carrying
love
that
so
momentum
freaking
right now. Game
powerful
one
kick
to Higgs
and
and Curve there, Zeke. What an
fucking
exciting start.
What am I watching in game number 1? Oh my gosh, 12 elim. Victory Royale out of Higgs and Curve. I cannot believe. Is there anything Curve can't do? Kelly, is there anything he can't do?
I mean, lose maybe, but honestly, Higgs and Curve played that so well. We got to watch so many different perspectives there where it looked like there was just so much control on the low and high ground, but then here Higgs and Curve kind of on the mid ground, but also making sure that they're grabbing these elims, grabbing these refreshes, and then of course they wait for the chaos on the high ground, and it was Peter and Pollo versus Veno and AJ, and they just wait till everyone's eliminating each other to steal that hideaway for themselves.
Yeah, kind of crazy how high ground kind of played out here. I would have came into the NA finals here thinking that we would have had some established teams up there throughout, like Peter and Player, or maybe Queasy even in the mix. But yeah, a lot of teams kind of willing to go for it. But Curve and Higgs were the ones to kind of find the timing that was necessary. Again, we talk about it time and time again. Sometimes taking the high ground just a little bit too early opens you up to just way too much damage. You can see it's 11 zone with just a 10-second timer left before it jumps over to 12th zone. So they go very, very late. And as a result of that, they only had to take out Pollo. And after this, Kelly, I mean, they just went ahead and rained down on the rest of the lobby.
Oh, and for it to be Curve and Higgs versus Muzz and Rise, I swear everyone had a mythic in their hand as well. What a great show off. What a great game 1, Zeke.
I mean, there's a reason that Curve went ahead and won. He's a, an FNCS champion now, looking to say, maybe we should hold that title. Maybe that title's worth hanging on to. Maybe I can go ahead and be the best in the world. Higgs, let's go ahead and get you a little W. That sounds pretty sick to me. That was just game number 1. That was insanely chaotic. So many things to highlight after the game. What we're gonna do is gonna break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the leaderboard. I'm stumbling on my words. That's how excited I am. We'll take a look at the leaderboard. See how things are. Don't laugh, Kelly. Production, take us a break. Don't laugh, Kelly.